You know, there's something absolutely extraordinary that occurs when two people who have genuinely awakened to their true nature encounter each other. It's not what the romantic novels tell you. It's not what the spiritual communities often describe. It's something far more subtle, far more profound, and in many ways far more beautiful than anything we've been conditioned to expect. Most relationships, if we're honest, are based on a kind of mutual incompleteness. Two people come together because each feels that something is missing, something is lacking, and the other person seems to promise to fill that void. This is what we usually call falling in love. But it's really falling into need. It's two halves trying to make a whole, two empty cups trying to fill each other. Two drowning people clinging to each other in the hope of staying afloat. And there's nothing wrong with this necessarily. This is where most of humanity lives, and these relationships can be perfectly functional, even pleasant. But they're based on a fundamental misunderstanding. They're based on the belief that you are incomplete, that happiness exists outside of you, that another person can give you what you lack within yourself. But when two awakened souls meet, something entirely different happens. And the first thing you need to understand is that awakened souls don't need each other. Let me repeat that because it's crucial. They don't need each other. They're already complete. They've already discovered that the wholeness they were seeking was never outside themselves. They've realized that they are not separate limited beings who need to be completed by another. They are the universe itself experiencing life through a particular form. So when two such people encounter each other, they're not coming together to fill a void. They're coming together because they want to, not because they have to. And this simple distinction changes absolutely everything. The entire quality of the relationship is transformed when it's based on choice rather than need, on preference rather than desperation, on celebration rather than compensation. Think about it this way. When you're hungry, really hungry, you'll eat almost anything. You're not tasting the food. You're just trying to fill the emptiness. But when you're already satisfied, when you're already full, then if you choose to eat, it's pure enjoyment. You're tasting every flavor, appreciating every texture. You're eating for the pleasure of eating, not to fill a hole. This is what happens when awakened souls come together. They're not using each other. They're not trying to extract something from each other to fill their inner emptiness. They're simply enjoying each other, appreciating each other, celebrating the mystery of consciousness, recognizing itself in another form. And here's what's fascinating. Because neither person needs the other, because neither is clinging or grasping or demanding, there's a kind of freedom in the relationship that most people never experience. Each person is completely free to be themselves, to change, to grow, to move. There's no sense of possession, no fear of loss, no desperate attempt to control or manipulate or make the other person conform to some image of what they should be. When an awakened person looks at another awakened person, they're not seeing someone they need to complete them. They're seeing the universe looking back at itself. They're recognizing that the consciousness looking out of those other eyes is the same consciousness looking out of their own eyes. It's one awareness experiencing itself from two different vantage points, playing a kind of cosmic game of hide and seek. This recognition creates a very particular kind of intimacy. It's not the desperate clinging intimacy of two people who fear being alone. It's not the melodramatic intensity of two egos trying to merge and losing themselves in the process. It's something much more spacious, much more relaxed. It's the intimacy of two dancers who trust each other completely, who don't need to hold on to each other to stay balanced, who can move independently while still being perfectly synchronized. Let me tell you what doesn't happen when two awakened souls meet. There's no drama. Oh, there might be passion, there might be intensity, but there's no drama in the neurotic sense. No games, no manipulation, no power struggles, no desperate attempts to change the other person because both people have seen through the game of ego. They're not playing it with each other. There's no jealousy, or at least no clinging jealousy. An awakened person might feel a momentary flash of jealousy because they're still human, but they don't identify with it. They don't make it into a story. They don't use it as a weapon. They see it for what it is, a temporary emotion, a wave on the surface of consciousness, nothing more. There's no fear of abandonment because the awakened person knows they can never truly be abandoned. They know that even if the other person walks away, they're still complete, still whole, still connected to the universe itself. They might feel sadness at the ending of a relationship, but they don't experience that existential terror that comes from believing you've lost something essential to your survival. And perhaps most importantly, there's no attempt to possess the other person. The awakened soul understands that you cannot possess another human being any more than you can possess the wind or the ocean or the sky. The other person is free, has always been free, will always be free. And rather than seeing this as a threat, the awakened person sees it as beautiful. They're not trying to cage a bird. They're marveling at the bird's ability to fly. So what does happen when two awakened souls meet? First, there's recognition. It's often instantaneous. Not in the romantic sense of love at first sight, but in a deeper sense of I see who you really are, and you see who I really am. There's a kind of transparency that occurs. All the usual masks, all the social performances, all the ego defenses, they become unnecessary. Both people can relax into their authentic nature. This recognition creates a very particular quality of communication. When awakened souls communicate, they're not just exchanging information or defending positions or trying to impress each other. They're playing, they're exploring, they're dancing with ideas and perspectives. They can disagree completely about something without it threatening the relationship, because they're not identified with their opinions. They're not their thoughts. They are the awareness in which thoughts arise. There's also a profound respect, not the superficial respect of politeness, but a deep recognition of the mystery that each person is. The awakened soul knows that they cannot fully understand another person, can never completely know them, and they don't try to. They allow the other person to remain mysterious, to be unpredictable, to surprise them. They're not trying to figure the other person out so they can control or manipulate them. They're simply appreciating the enigma. When two awakened souls are together, there's often long stretches of comfortable silence. They don't need to fill every moment with words. They're comfortable with just being in each other's presence. The silence isn't awkward or uncomfortable. It's full, rich, alive. They're communing at a level deeper than words. Consciousness, resting in consciousness. Awareness, enjoying awareness. And when they do speak, there's a quality of listening that's quite rare. Each person is truly hearing the other, not just waiting for their turn to talk, not filtering everything through their own agenda or assumptions. They're open, curious, genuinely interested in the other person's perspective, even if it's completely different from their own. There's also a kind of humor that emerges when awakened souls meet. They can laugh at the cosmic joke together. They can see the absurdity of existence, the improbability of consciousness, the strange game that life is playing. They don't take themselves too seriously. They can laugh at their own egos, at their own patterns, at the human comedy of which they're both a part. Physical intimacy, when it occurs between awakened souls, takes on a completely different quality. It's not about need or conquest or validation. It's not about using the other person's body to distract yourself from your inner emptiness. It's a celebration, a dance, a form of play. It's consciousness, exploring consciousness through physical form. There's no performance anxiety because neither person is trying to prove anything. There's no disconnection because both people are fully present, fully aware, fully alive to the moment. And here's something interesting. Awakened souls can be together or apart with equal ease. They don't cling to constant togetherness. They understand that closeness and distance are both valuable, that separation can be as nourishing as union. They can give each other space without it meaning rejection. They can come together without it meaning possession. There's a natural rhythm to the relationship, like breathing in and breathing out, coming together and moving apart. And neither phase is seen as better or worse than the other. When conflicts arise, as they inevitably do even between awakened souls, they're handled very differently. There's no need to be right. There's no need to win. Both people are more interested in understanding than in being understood, more interested in resolution than in victory. They can admit when they're wrong without it threatening their sense of self. They can apologize without resentment. They can forgive without keeping score. There's also a profound generosity in the relationship. Not the forced generosity of someone who's trying to earn love, but the natural generosity of someone who's already full. The awakened soul gives freely because it's a joy to give, not because they expect something in return. They support the other person's growth, even when that growth takes the person in a different direction. They want the other person to be fully themselves, even if that means growing beyond the relationship. And this brings me to a crucial point. When two awakened souls meet, they understand that the relationship might not be forever. And they're okay with that. They're not trying to lock it down to make it permanent, to guarantee that it will last until death do them part. They're enjoying it now fully, completely, without projecting into the future or comparing it to the past. And paradoxically, this very lack of clinging often makes the relationship last longer and go deeper than relationships based on need and fear. There's also a quality of surrender in the relationship. Not the surrender of one person to another, but both people surrendering to something larger than themselves. They're allowing life to move through them, to express itself through their connection. They're not forcing the relationship to be anything in particular. They're letting it be what it is, letting it evolve naturally, trusting the process. When awakened souls are together, they bring out the best in each other, but not through criticism or pressure or trying to fix each other. They do it simply by being themselves, by modeling what it looks like to live authentically, by creating a space where the other person feels safe to drop their masks and defenses. Each person's awakening deepens the other's awakening. It's a kind of resonance, like two tuning forks vibrating at the same frequency, amplifying each other. There's also a sense of sacred ordinariness in the relationship. Everything becomes meaningful. Even the mundane activities, washing dishes together, sitting in traffic, paying bills. These ordinary moments become infused with presence, with awareness, with the recognition that this moment, exactly as it is the only moment there ever is. They're not waiting for some special moment in the future to be happy. They're finding the extraordinary and the ordinary, the sacred and the mundane. And here's something that might surprise you. Awakened souls can feel all the emotions that everyone else feels. They feel attraction, affection, even jealousy and anger and sadness. But they don't identify with these emotions. They don't make them into problems. They don't build stories around them. They feel them fully and completely and then let them pass. It's like weather passing through the sky. The sky doesn't cling to the storm or push away the sunshine. It allows both to come and go. When two awakened souls meet, there's also a recognition that the relationship is not about personal fulfillment. It's not about completing each other or finding happiness together. It's about something much larger. It's about consciousness exploring itself, about the universe experiencing itself in relationship, about life expressing itself through the dance of two beings who've remembered who they really are. There's a famous Zen saying, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." The same could be said for relationships. Before awakening, you relate to another person. After awakening, you relate to another person. The actions might look the same from the outside, but the inner quality, the inner experience is completely transformed. The awakened relationship is not free from challenges. There are still practical matters to navigate, differences to bridge, adjustments to make. But these challenges are not seen as problems. They are seen as opportunities for deeper understanding, for greater wisdom, for more complete presence. Every difficulty becomes a teacher. Every conflict becomes a doorway to greater consciousness. And perhaps most beautifully, when two awakened souls meet, they create a field of consciousness that affects everyone around them. Their presence together has a quality that others can feel even if they can't articulate it. It's peaceful but not passive. It's joyful but not manic. It's loving but not needy. It radiates outward, touching everyone it encounters, inviting others to remember their own true nature. This is what happens when two awakened souls meet. Not the fireworks and drama and desperate clinging of neurotic love, but something far more precious. A meeting of two beings who've remembered what they are, who see the divine in each other, who can dance together without stepping on each other's toes, who can be completely together and completely free at the same time. It's a relationship not of need but of celebration, not of possession but of appreciation, not of fear but of trust, not of becoming but of being. And in this being together, in this mutual recognition, in this dance of consciousness with consciousness, something profound is revealed. That love is not something that happens between two separate beings, but the recognition that there are no two separate beings. There never were and there never could be.